have to do when it's talking time. But thank you very much. What a nice crowd coming out. A lot of enthusiasm. With that college, I think it's LSU or something. Well, we had a nice crowd there. A lot of enthusiasm. I keep talking to a lot of young people. I'm glad to see everybody here is under 30, and that's great. Things are really moving quite well, and I've been doing this, that is promoting our cause of liberty and free markets and sound money and individual liberty and a sensible foreign policy. And I, for many, many years, assumed that it would be slow, and it was slow. And I was doing that, for off and on since the early okay, is that any better? Yes. Okay, get up close to the microphone. So I've been doing this for 30 or 40 years, and I got into a pattern of assuming that there weren't very many people out there that really cared that much. But something has happened. Something has happened here in the last 5 years or so. That the interest is tremendous. There's people like you that I didn't know existed, that really do care and understand what freedom is all about. And you're not looking just for the government to take care of you and just be left alone. The philosophy is not all that complicated. That is, I like to talk about the word non-intervention. We want a government that will, provide a national defense and do a few things for us. But basically, the purpose of the government is to protect our liberties and leave us alone. Under those circumstances, we would have non-intervention in the affairs of other countries. They have problems, we have problems, but the best way we can influence other nations is to set a good example, to have a free society here and prosperity. But this whole idea that we have to intervene and tell other countries what to do doesn't work, creates more enemies, spends a lot of money, undermines our defense. At the same time, I don't think we should have a government that is intervening in our personal lives. Our personal lives are our own. We should assume responsibility for ourselves. If it is understood in this country that the very important things like intellectual curiosity and our spiritual lives are left to ourselves, and that's pretty important. But why is it that we assume, and our country has assumed for so long, that we should have a government telling us what to do with our own bodies, and how we run our own habits? And it's the do-gooders that think that you might do harm to yourself and they have to protect you from yourself. Very dangerous notion to have a government that's going to protect you from yourself, because what happens, they become dictatorial. When they make a mistake for all of us. If you make a mistake, one person, you suffer the consequences, but that's the way a free society works. In the same way in the economy, if you have a non-interventionist economy, which means that we recognize that you have a right to your life, you have a right to your liberty, you have a right to strive, and you ought to have a right to keep everything you earn. That's what we're saying. But the reason this campaign right now is so important and what's going on in this country is that the old system is coming to a climactic end. And just when it will finally disappear, it's unknown, but we're gradually going downhill. I believe this recession started actually in the year 2000 with the NASDAQ bubble. We haven't created any real new productive jobs in the last decade. The standard of living has been going down. And it shouldn't surprise those who have studied Austrian economics, because it is said that when you destroy a currency, you destroy the middle class. Wealth gravitates to the few and the rich, and the poor get more numerous, and the middle class gets wiped out. And just think of how symbolic it was about the bailouts. The people who made a lot of money when the bubble was being blown up, they're the ones who got bankrupt. They went broke, but they didn't go bankrupt. The people had to bail them out. And then the people in the middle class lost their jobs. Then they lost their houses. And then the bills came to the people with higher prices, and they suffered the consequences. So this has to be reversed. It's one of the reasons why I emphasize so strongly about the monetary issue, because it's the monetary issue that allows government to spend beyond their means. If they couldn't print that money, they couldn't have this big government, warmongering government, and a government here to run our lives personally here at home and run the economy. And this is the reason that we have to continue to pursue the Federal Reserve audit and then get rid of it. But I come today because I heard there was a bit of a celebration, and I got here and it smelled like there was some good food too. It's wonderful. But mostly to thank you and to tell you that my enthusiasm comes from my meeting with people like you, because if there's one or two of us and a few, it's very important. People have to always talk and always pursue and do what they can, and everybody has a responsibility, and everybody's responsibility might be slightly different. But today the enthusiasm is growing, and I think there's every reason to be optimistic, but not being deceived into thinking that we'll snap our fingers and we'll be back on the road again. But I do know that if we do not change policy, whether it's the monetary policy, economic policy, or foreign policy, and concern about our personal liberties, we cannot change the direction of the country. We had a good start in our early history, and we were blessed with a great amount of prosperity, and now we are in a position where we're in the process of losing it. But the answers are there, and they're not that complicated. Our traditions have been great. We don't have a perfect constitution, a good one, but where the real imperfection is the people in Washington right now really don't care. They don't understand. Either they don't understand the Constitution or they don't care. We need to reverse that attitude. So the enthusiasm around the country has been growing. People talk about some early states. In the national media, they don't talk about Louisiana as an early state. We do. An important early state. But we do spend a fair amount of time traveling. We spent some time here just yesterday over in Florida. We do get up to New Hampshire on occasion and Iowa. But actually, the enthusiasm is spreading. There are a lot of demands for organization, and we are doing our very best. I'm very pleased with our organization. I am pleased with the fundraising. It still takes a lot of money and a lot of effort. It takes a lot of people like you. But without people like you, there's no campaign. Without people like you, my enthusiasm is diminished. Today, my enthusiasm has been greatly raised. Thank you very much.